Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well today. 4 more days, and then we are going to see the biggest English protest this country has ever seen. In fact, I dare to say it's going to be the biggest protest worldwide. I mean, let's face it, we're all going to make this protest go worldwide. There's going to be at least 500,000 people there, hopefully over 1 million. Who said Matty's already worldwide? Shut up, you. I'm not that bad. You fucking know what you bloody mean. Fuck off. The bloody far right. Though I suspect we'll be hearing more of those 3 buzzwords, the far right, the far right, from Shabana Mahmood, or David the Archbishop of Racism Lammy. You know, the 2 dickheads who've literally been appointed as Home Secretary for Shabana Mahmood, and then of course Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy. So right now this country is being run by a sectarian traitorous bastard, aka Keir the Traitor Starmer, an Islamic extremist effectively, or someone who at bare minimum will push Islam, i.e. Shabana Mahmood, and of course a black extremist, that is David the Archbishop of Racism Lammy. But it doesn't matter what arse of the Prime Minister's mouth that these 2 turds came out with, they surely stink of shit, and they're about as pleasurable as genital warts. Shabana Mahmood, for anybody who's wondering, was also the Justice Secretary for a time. She was actually responsible for a lot of the justice, or the lack thereof, that was going out. Let me put it another way. She could have easily released Tommy Robinson from prison in HMP Woodhill and Belmarsh, because that documentary that he put out, technically he didn't break the law, as this film was already leaked by the Americans. I am of course talking about the Silence documentary, which now is no longer going to be silenced. But perhaps even more chillingly, for those who are unaware, Tommy Robinson had to spend 7 months in solitary confinement without review, which, just as a reminder, even if we were to use the ECHR's own laws, basically, there's a 2-week time limit on that. Any inmate who is subjected to solitary confinement, usually it has to be done as a punishment, number 1. And number 2, after 2 weeks, that inmate has to have a review by an expert medical team. Because the amount of psychological, mental and physical damage that could be done to an inmate is quite substantial. But because Tommy Robinson, of course, is an enemy of Islam, or more appropriately, the Sunni teachings of Islam, of course she didn't pay any attention. Though I will briefly play devil's advocate here for Shabana Mahmood, much as I am loath to do this. But quite frankly, if she does release Tommy Robinson during that 7-month stint in solitary confinement, she is basically releasing the biggest enemy of Islam this world has ever seen. She would effectively be vindicating and justifying everything that Tommy Robinson has said about the so-called religion of peace. So right now, the choice for her is she either continues to keep him in solitary confinement, knowing full well she is breaching Article 3 of the Human Rights Act, which is torture. So in that particular case, she's effectively screwed whichever one she chooses. But what would have been the morally right thing to do? It would have been to release Tommy Robinson. Absolutely no question about it. If she had any integrity, even as a Islamic practicer, she would have released Tommy Robinson. I mean, aside from Keir the Traitor Starmer, as far as the justice system, she is the highest authority. Or sorry, was, because now she's obviously Home Secretary. But the point is, as Justice Secretary, she had the power to do the right thing. But she instead chose to be complicit. This woman that seems to have no problems with the Muslim Council of Britain being in this country. She has no problem with Sharia courts being in a Christian country. Last time I checked, this is the land of the English, not the land of the Islamic. Last time I checked, This country was built on 2,000 or so years of Christian heritage and the blood, sweat of stroke number one, blood, sweat and tears of the English people. It was not done on the blood, sweat and tears of Sunni Islamists. And she'd do very fucking well to remember that. Hey, she'd do very well to remember that, because at the end of the day, she is in our country. This isn't her land. This isn't Keir the Traitor Starmer's country. This is our country. Because believe it or not, Shabana Mahmood, all we need to do, the white working class, all we need to do is down tools and we can bring this country to a standstill. Just like that. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. That's why I suspect Keir the Traitor Starmer has only got one stock of trousers right now, and they're all coloured brown, from the bowel movements he's been doing at the mere idea of 1 million plus patriots descending upon London. I hear there's some good kind of like, what are they, chinos? From Al Pacino's? Anyway, the fact of the matter is, Keir the Traitor Starmer shitting himself at the mere idea of hundreds and thousands of English patriots coming down to London and putting the pressure on this treacherous oligarchy. This man has been pushing for civil war practically from day one. Think about it. Look what happened with Axel Radaku Banana and the Southport riots. Think of what happened to those three beautiful girls, Elsie King, Bebby King, Elsie Dot. I always get that one wrong, Elsie King. Anyway, Elsie Dot, Bebby King and Alice de Silva Aguilar. God rest their souls. Three beautiful girls butchered at a dance class, one of them with over 120 fucking stab wounds. And what did Keir the Traitor Starmer do? He came in with a wreath, said absolutely nothing to the people, and pissed off back to Westminster to have a party with his chums. That doesn't sound like a leader to me. That sounds like a goddamn coward. Mind you, Nigel El-Faraji also has that trait in common. He is a coward because he left us when we needed him most during Brexit. He was the one person who could have made sure that Brexit happened in more than just name. But instead, Nigel Farage chose to quit the moment Brexit was so-called delivered. And I know a lot of Reformians are not going to like me saying that, but that's the cold, bitter truth. Your little Messiah is not going to save this country. Your little Messiah is not the answer to this country, quite frankly. The real answer lies with UKIP. The real solution lies with Nick Tenconi, because he's the only politician who's got the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to actually stand by their principles and decisions and actually stand by the English people, including, as Richard Tice derogatorily called us, that lot. I can only imagine what Nick Tenconi could do if he was given a platform by Tommy Robinson. Though at that point, the mainstream media would do everything they could to slander him as the usual name tags, far right, racist, thug, and all that stuff. But that's why a lot of the mainstream media, they tend not to get a lot of listeners. They tend not to get a lot of people tuning into them now, because most people know full well that the only way they're going to get the truth, or at least some semblance of it, is with alternative media. The mainstream media can no longer be trusted, and are no longer trusted, to give the English people the full story based off of facts and being impartial without bias. Why do you think more and more people are cancelling their TV licence fee? Why do you think more and more people are tuning in to the likes of Liam Tufts, to Danny Roscoe, to Danny Uncensored, to Maya Tuzi, to Paul Thorpe, to some lesser degree myself, to Paz49, to Carl Benjamin, just to name a few? They're tuning into them because they know full well these guys, yes, they're right-wingers, most of them, but generally speaking, They know full well those people will at least give you the truth and treat you like an adult, rather than treat you as a kid as if you've, I don't know, pissed on the floor or something. Oh, you naughty girl. Well, that's what was happening until I got caught in the act tipping my sister's potty over. Anyway, the fact is, the mainstream media aren't going to be trusted by anyone, and there is going to be media outlets, or rather alternative media, all across the world that are coming to London, with some of the politicians from the other countries as well, that have also got the balls, like Nick Tanconi, to say it how it is and actually say what this country needs. Right now, this country needs a doctor, and Keir the Traitor Starmer is just a quack. In fact, he's not even a quack. He is the cancer. He is the cancerous cell, the cancerous tumour that is inside the body of England, and we need a surgeon to cut him out. And to be clear, before anybody starts trying to contact Norfolk Constabulary, I obviously mean this in a metaphorical sense. I would prefer it if we did not descend to civil war, even though Keir the Traitor Starmer is doing everything he can to push for it. Keir the Traitor Starmer has done everything in his power to try and agitate us. Treating our veterans with contempt, putting up electricity and utility bills, raising council tax, letting our elderlies freeze by denying them the ability to have that winter fuel allowance, locking up innocent patriots for expressing their freedom of speech, continually getting his stormtroopers to basically form an elite force of Twitter searchers and social media police to police the tweets rather than the streets, funding foreign wars such as that's going on in the middle of Ukraine, just to name a few things. As I've said many times before, if you ask me to list the number of things that Keir the Traitor has done, or Keir the Traitor Starmer has done against this country's wishes, I could literally write you a list longer than the fucking Magna Carta. Whereas if you told me to write all the positives about Keir the Traitor Starmer, my mum would be asking for a refund on the back of her fucking Rizzler, quite frankly. She'll probably start calling me Wacky Tobacco, won't she? Anyway, Keir the Traitor Starmer, his time is borrowed. His time is running out. He sure as shit isn't going to last the 10 years. He's not going to last 2 years. Hell, he'll be lucky if he sees 6 months. Because civil war is coming. I think it's inevitable, personally. But that does not mean that I am going to go down on Saturday and have the intention of riling up the crowd. I have no intention of doing that, because no matter what I think, this is Tommy Robinson's party, if you will. This is Tommy Robinson's show. And at the end of the day, it's his house and his rules. I will be respectful of the rules. The way I see it, though, and this is going to be a cold truth for a lot of people, but I honestly think that this protest on Saturday the 13th of September is our last chance to secure a peaceful resolution. Think about it. If 1 million strong from all across the United Kingdom and across the world can't get Keir the Traitor Starmer to call a general election or resign, nothing ever will. Though I've said it before, dictators never resign. Dictators will only be forced out of their position if they have to end their own life, or if we drag them out of the houses of treachery, I mean Parliament. Or maybe I was right first time, kicking and screaming. As I've said, I'd rather this end peacefully, because I don't want to see blood on the streets. I don't want to see hundreds of thousands of people getting butchered on the streets in a civil war that could tear apart the very fabric of this country. I want this to end peacefully. I've said this many, many times before, and I will keep saying it, because that is what I ultimately want. I want a peaceful end, not a violent one. But I will say this much, as far as the protest is concerned, we can't fuck around anymore. I mean, sure, it's supposed to be a day of celebration, but we have got to remember why we're there. We're not just down there to celebrate. We're not just there to sing songs. At the end of the day, We are to be there to apply pressure to Keir the Traitor Starmer and his treacherous Labour government. We have to be flawless on this. We cannot compromise anything. We cannot give these guys an opportunity to discredit us, because that's what they'll do if we turn up with face coverings, if we drink too much lager, if we cause a ruckus. Keir the Traitor Starmer's media will already be in position, ready to get the footage, ready to get the pictures, and then say, oh, you see, they are far-right racists and football hooligans and thugs and lockdown protesters and all that shit, because that's all the oligarchy are capable of doing. They're only capable of smear tactics. They're not capable of fighting facts, the truth. And of course, they can't hide their corruption because it's like a bad smell from a dead skunk. Remember what I said before. 1% control the world. 4% are global sellout puppets. 90% of the world is still fast asleep. 5% know about what's going on and are trying to wake up the 90%. And the 4% are trying to stop the 5% from waking up the 90%. He will have his little protest group down there as well, all masked up, all dressed in black or what have you, ready to infiltrate the crowd, agitate the crowd, cause trouble, even start a fight with the police, just so that they can say, you see, look at them, they are thugs, they are far right, they attack the police, they're violent hooligans and all that stuff. Because that's all they'll ever have. Whether this succeeds or fails is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of our choices. We must make the right choices and make sure we cast out anyone who is not going to conform with the peaceful nature stroke number 2, nature of this protest. No, God, please, no. I do not want another 3 strokes to add to the counter. But it really is down to how we attend, how we deal with this, how we work around the problems. Right now, Tommy's team, Tommy himself, every one of us is counting on each other not to let it fail. If we can actually manage to pull this off, there is a slim chance that Keir the Traitor Starmer will be forced to act. There'll be a small chance that he'll be forced to give us a general election or at least resign. But as I've said, this protest is the last chance saloon for the United Kingdom. If it doesn't succeed, where do we go from here? Because I can tell you right now, this country isn't going to last another 4 years or 3 years or however long it is to the next general election. I can guarantee that. We will not last that long. Because right now the oligarchy is pushing forward with bringing in that demographic that wants to invade our country from their third world shitholes and basically destroy us from the inside out. Which is why, as I've said, the cold bitter truth is, if this doesn't work, then there's only one way this can end, and it won't be pretty. I don't want it, Tommy doesn't want it, the rest of us don't want it, but Tommy is only one man, and even Tommy Robinson can only do so much. He cannot keep the anger of the English at bay. He can't. Not forever. Eventually, it's gonna end up with, and I dread this idea, I fucking dread it with all my heart. You know what's gonna happen? It's gonna lead to some child getting shot or stabbed and killed. It's gonna be one too many, and then all of a sudden, that anger is gonna blow like a volcano top. And when that happens, we're gonna see Englishmen and women who have had enough, who have lost their shit, decide to take matters into their own hands because the oligarchy has decided to abandon them. We will see Englishmen and women take the law into their own hands, which again, as I've said, I can't stress this enough, I don't want it. But that is what I think is going to happen. And I've said this many, many times, and yet, when I mention this to Richard Inman, he's like, fill your boots. Treats me with such disdain. And yet he can bring up a fictional story about civil war. Hell, he was the one who even advised the government on what to do in a civil war. But he gets praise. I'm telling you right now, there are very, very suspicious things going on. But the mere idea of David Lammy being our Vice Prime Minister, basically, our Deputy Prime Minister, is enough to make me want to puke for an hour in the toilet, much like I had when I was back in Torremolinos at the age of 11 years old, after I drank 2 cocktails and a cheap bottle of sherry. Yes, is it any wonder I don't drink alcohol now? This man who, much like Femi Olumwole, who are deeply racist towards the English people. They are so disrespectful to us, and they are so racist towards white people. Yet if anybody dares to criticize this, he'll play the victim. He will play the race card. They will say, oh, they're criticizing me because they're racists. No, you dickheads, they're criticizing you because you're just shit fucking people, much like Sadiq Khan. I don't hate Sadiq Khan because he's a Muslim. I hate him because he's a crap fucking mayor. You may not like what we have to say, but the thing with me is, I don't give a shit. And here's why, and you can say it with me. I'm not going to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I'm not going to mince my words. I am going to say it exactly how it is, and I'll do my best not to bullshit you. And what we're seeing right now is a breakdown of our society. We are seeing the collapse of English society. It may not be very apparent yet, but it will be, I suspect, come 2026. I reckon 2026, if not sooner, will be the year where England finally loses it and they decide they really have had enough. You know what we should be like? We should be like that fucking house right there, proudly flying the Union Jack. Or, well, sorry, not the Union Jack, the St George's Cross, as that's our actual flag. That is technically our flag by law, not the Union Jack. But we should be proud of who we are. We shouldn't be afraid to express our patriotism, like Keir the Traitor Starmer would want us to believe. I will be bringing both of my flags down to London. I will be sporting my St George's Cross cloak. I will be down there, and I will be hoping to God that I can maybe get on stage for a couple of minutes, because at the end of the day, I have a speech that would literally have Keir the Traitor Starmer checking under his bed for this oversized person that is not afraid to speak of his mind. Because we need more men and women who aren't the big YouTubers, the big content creators, the people that basically you would associate with the upper echelons of wealth and what have you. We need traditional people. We need people who've gone through the thick of things. We need people who actually represent the working class. We need more and more people from all sorts of backgrounds, construction workers, administrators. We need people who work in fitness. We need people who work in agriculture and the railway system and all that stuff. We need people from all walks of life who are the working class, who represent this country. Because I'll tell you right now, even a single one of them would outmatch Keir the Traitor Starmer 100-fold as far as patriotism and love for their country is concerned. So come on, Tommy, this is directly to you now, my young China. Let's see some real people up there. It doesn't have to be me. I'll make that clear. If you don't want me up, that's fair enough. But I do think that we need to show more indigenous English working class people up there. That way, people have an image, an icon they can get behind. Not just Tommy Robinson, not just the big YouTubers, not just the people that we've seen before. What about the parents of effin? The people that want to protect their kids? Let's have some of them up there as well. Thank you. Because here's the thing, because this is to be devil's advocate to the protest. And you may not like it, but here's the cold bitter truth. There are a lot of people right now who deep down, who are respectful of these protests and will keep the peace, generally speaking, much like me. There are people who realize that these peaceful protests are not working. There are people who think the only way we're going to get this country back is on the back of a civil war. There are people who believe that the only way that this is going to end is in blood. As said, you may not like that, but that's the cold, bitter truth. So many people are waking up to this very real possibility. You need to as well. And as I said, that doesn't mean I want it. That doesn't mean I advocate for it. It just means more and more people are starting to realize it. Remember what I said about it potentially starting off, what happens if a child gets killed by an Islamic extremist? That could be the spark to the powder keg. What Keir the Traitor Starmer is doing, putting the invaders before his own people, could be the spark to the powder keg. Putting Shabana Mahmood as our Home Secretary when she had no indication of giving real justice out to the people who deserved it. And putting in David Lammy as Vice Prime Minister, basically. That could spark it off. It is a very, very real possibility. You may not like it, but we have to prepare for the worst. Hope for the best, by all means. I'm not saying lose hope. But what I am saying is don't hold your breath. I'm saying you need to prepare for the worst case scenario. And there are loads of people with guns, with knives, with pitchforks, with whatever tools they can get their hands on. The kitchen knife is so easy to get a hold of. I reckon almost every household has at least one kitchen knife. And some will obviously have more. Some people have got fuck off great big blades you would expect to see in a butcher rather than a home. The police would do well to remember that. And bear in mind, the army will not fire on us unless they know that their life is in immediate danger. They will try and help the police and the oligarchy by protecting infrastructure, but generally speaking, a lot of these people would not fire upon their citizens. In fact, the vast majority of these people would turn their weapons on the government, quite frankly. And remember, there's only about 30,000 at a time that they could have fully armed and equipped, ready for war. Do you think that's going to outnumber 1 million patriots? Do you think 100,000 police officers are going to outnumber the patriots? I don't. Last time I checked, if you put them both together, that's still them outnumbered like 7 to 1. Nearly 8 to 1, in fact. Yes, I will be turning up, but I will be intending to be there peacefully. But as I said before, we have to prepare for war. Because look what happened with that certain far-left dictator. You know, the one from Germany. The one that invaded Poland. And then basically threatened to take over the whole of the world. Yeah, that one. He was a dictator. Keir the Traitor Starmer could effectively be this person, but be in, well, I don't want to say English because he's not really English, in British form. He is effectively that dictator in British form. And I don't care what people say on it. That is my honest opinion on the matter. With each passing day that this dictator, Keir the Traitor Starmer, is in power, the identity of this Christian country is being more and more eroded. This protest is a chance to showcase that we have not lost our fight, we have not lost our passion, and we have not lost our desire for this country to be a Christian one. And if civil war does break out, because of Keir the Traitor Starmer, because that's who will really bring this about, if civil war does happen, Starmer will only have himself to blame. Because at the end of the day, he's the one who agitated the Southport riots. He is the one who locked up patriots for words on the internet. He is the one who ignored the plights of the English people. Meanwhile, he's going out of his way to look after people like Axel Radaku Banana. I mean, fuck me. Here was me thinking that we'd seen the end of Lethal Weapon, the series. Now we've got another fucking sequel on the way, and it's involving Keir the Traitor Starmer as the main character, destroying the country. Like, fucking hell, Mel Gibson's not going to top this performance, let me bloody tell you. The way I see it, as much as I'd like to hold on for hope, as much as I would like to believe that we can end this peacefully, and I will still hold on to that until the end of the 13th of September. Realistically, do I think we're going to get a peaceful resolution before we get a violent revolution? No. I don't think we will, quite frankly. I think it is going to descend into anarchy. And when that happens, as I've said before, Starmer will only have himself to blame. And he will go down in history as the worst Prime Minister, not only for the country in general, but the worst for all the crimes that he's committed. He has effectively committed war crimes against Tommy Robinson for the act of torture, of holding him worse than a POW. He has effectively funded wars that have nothing to do with us. Like, I think if you were to ask any citizen of this country, any serviceman of this country, would you fight for this country? Yes or no? 50, 60 years ago, they would have said yes. But I think come present day, if you were to ask these people, would you go and fight in the war against Vladimir Putin? A lot of people, almost all of them I'd probably say, would say no. And I think a lot of them would only fight if there was a direct invasion of this country. Well, unfortunately, we haven't been too bright with that one because we've had an invasion going on for the last 10, 20 fucking years because of the oligarchy. Not just Labour, but the Tories as well, and to a lesser extent, the Liberal Democrats. We have really dropped the ball on this one. And hell, why do you think the Tories dropped the defence budget? Why is it now, all of a sudden, Keir the Traitor Starmer is giving the defence a boost? He knows full well what's coming. He's preparing for it. And he's using the Russia-Ukraine war to cover his tracks. But again, the mainstream media are not going to want to tell you that. He is preparing for civil war. He knows full well he's got a target on his back the size of Tiger Stadium. He knows full well who's the first target in this civil war. Who's the one who caused it? Who's the one who took the piss out of us? Who violated our rights? Who treated us like a welcome mat? That would be Keir the Traitor Starmer. He can have all the fucking bodyguards he wants. There is no amount of people that will stop the English from being able to get their hands on him. That's the truth of the matter. If people rally, and trust me, if we had the same level of community that the Islamic invaders do, oh my God, we would mobilize forces, boom, in an instant. There would be no shot that Keir the Traitor Starmer would be getting out of London in one piece, more like several. The bottom line is this. This protest that's going to take place is the most important protest that our generation will ever face. No election is going to top the importance of this one. This protest could either put an end to this, or it could be the fuse set to spark a civil war. It all comes down to us and what Keir the Traitor Starmer's going to do. Is he going to actually respect our wishes for once in his pathetic life? Or is he going to keep playing the dictator? Or again, maybe I was right first time, all the rent boys and all. We will soon find out. Let's see what Keir the Traitor Starmer is made of. Let's see if he has the ability to read the room. Because right now, he is the most hated man in this country. He is universally the most hated man in this country. And I think the most hated man, at bare minimum, in the United States as well. A man who lies through his teeth to Trump to say, oh, we have free speech. Lock him up. Lock him the fuck up. That's basically what he does. He does it with a kind of a smile. It's like, yeah, we're proud to have free speech here. Get this piece of shit out of my sight. That's basically what he's doing. Lock up Lucy Connolly. Lock up Peter Lynch. Lock up anybody who is protesting against the oligarchy. That's what he's doing. Gritted teeth. Well, before long, someone's going to smash his teeth in. Metaphorically speaking, of course, I would prefer. I don't want to see this treacherous bastard harmed until he actually faces trial for treason. Then we bring back the death penalty, and then we can wish him to be hanged. Because if it weren't for Tony the War Criminal Blair, we'd still have the death penalty for treasonous cunts like Keir the Traitor Starmer. Shabana Mahmood and, of course, David Lammy are two appointees to effectively cover the bases of this invasion. Shabana Mahmood, being a practicing Muslim, David the Archbishop of Racism Lammy, the black supremacist who hates whites and wants us to feel white guilt and says that we should give repatriations and all that shit. Yeah, what a toxic combination that is. That is two turds out of the arsehole of Starmer. And as I said, I'll leave it to you which end it came out of. Or maybe it came out of both at the same time. And that's why we've got such an amalgamation of shite on our hands. But one thing's for sure, Starmer. Your time is running out. Death comes for us all. It may not be time to claim your life yet, but your political life will soon be over. And when the devil comes calling, he will always get his due.